Hello, my name is Gamal Tayer and I'm the tutor for ACCA's paper P4 Advanced Financial Management. This paper is an optional paper and it builds on from F9 Financial Management that you will have studied for at the skills level. And as such, it builds upon all the kind of skills and knowledge that you've accumulated on that paper and tries to take it a step further to look at how we're going to use financial management to make strategic decisions to improve our business and move forward in the direction that we want to go. The examiner for this paper is Bob Ryan, who has been the examiner since the change of syllabus. So he's done all of the exams so far for this paper. And the exams so far have been demanding, and yet they've been doable on all the topics that he's set so far. There's always going to be difficult parts of the questions due to the nature of this syllabus, but he does tend to set fair papers that are quite prescriptive in what they want you to do, and therefore the well-prepared candidate should have no problem scoring the required 50%. To help your development on your skills for this paper, there have been several articles written for this paper, and these are all available at the ACCA website, which you can find at www.acccaglobal.com. If you go to the studying section and then have a look for paper 4, there's a whole list of past relevant articles that you can download for free and make sure you are happy with these. Some of these have been specifically written by your examiner and are therefore well worth knowing inside out, and therefore you can take this knowledge and use it in any questions that he sets in the exam. As this paper builds on from the F9 paper, there's therefore going to be several parts that are assumed knowledge from the skills level. Although during these modules we will have a chance to recap some of these areas, we will not be able to go into the areas in anywhere near as much depth as what happened on the skills paper. Therefore, if you think you need to have some background reading on some of these areas, you should go back and review what you studied before for paper F9. Specifically, it's well worth looking at these following areas: sources of finance, weighted average cost of capital, basic net present value calculations, and basic working capital calculations and ratios. We'll take some of these topics a little bit further, but any of the assumed knowledge that you've done from F9 could still be examinable on this paper. However, the emphasis and the weighting of the marks will be on the advanced stuff that we're going to introduce as we go through these further modules. The examination of this paper is split into two sections. First of all, you have section A, which is broken down into 2 compulsory questions that are worth a total of 60 marks. Now, some of the examinations so far have been 30 marks for each question, but the syllabus does allow for any one of those questions to be worth up to a maximum of 40 marks. Section B is broken down into 3 questions, of which you will have to attempt 2, all of which will be 20 marks each. Now, in order to pass the paper, you obviously still need 50% like you did on the previous papers, but all of these questions are going to be broken down to involve some computational elements and some discursive elements. He has so far set a couple of questions that were pure essays, but these were balanced out by other questions on the diet that were heavily computational. The rough split that you will be looking at on this paper will be roughly 60% discursive and 40% computational. We've moved on now from the skills levels papers, and it's not just going to be about number crunching. This is going to be about doing some calculations and considering the impact this is going to have on our business and making decisions as to what is going to be the best thing to do. Therefore, depending on which optional questions that you choose, the majority of your marks are going to come from the interpretation and the advice that you're actually going to give. Although there are going to be numbers on this paper, and some numbers which some people may feel are technically difficult, you cannot pass this paper by simply doing the calculations alone. And therefore, the emphasis of your work shouldn't just solely be based on the number crunching, it should be based on understanding what you're actually doing and considering how you are going to apply it to the questions that are going to come up. The syllabus for this paper is broken down into 7 main areas. These are called capabilities, and as we go through this paper, we're going to look at each one of these capabilities at a time. The main areas you need to look at are as follows. Section A, the role and responsibility towards your stakeholders. Section B, advanced investment appraisal. Section C, acquisitions and mergers. Section D, corporate restructuring and reorganisation. Section E, treasury and advanced risk management techniques. Section F, economic environment for multinationals. And Section G, emerging issues in finance and financial management. As we go through these modules, we'll look at them as a self-contained module as far as we can. However, due to the nature of this paper, there will be some overlap between each of these modules. Therefore, to have a full understanding of any one of these main capabilities, you will probably need to work through all of them and then try to reassess how all of these will fit back in together.